Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. George Gonzalez. I'm the founder of Quantum Neurology and also of Holographic Number Theory and the author of Holographic Healing. I'm here today because we're talking to Noah Leibowitz, Dr. Noah Leibowitz, and he's going to be one of our speakers at our homecoming event at November 11th and 12th. And the topic of his title is Food Toxins, Infections, Heavy Metals, and Nutrition, Balancing the Nervous System. This presentation will go over how chronic infections, food, toxins, heavy metals, and supplements can compromise your results and cause recidivism in chronic patients. Addressing these using specific applied kinesiology techniques will help your patients achieve optimal improvement in a fast and efficient manner. Welcome, Dr. Noah. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thank you for having me, Dr. Gonzalez. It's an honor to be here with you.
It's great to have you. You know, I've known about yourself and your dad, Dr. Michael Leibowitz, and the work that you've been doing for many, many years. I've had several students in common with yourself and your dad that have gone through your training, and everybody had rave reviews about how amazing the work is and the uniqueness in your muscle testing concepts, as well as the ability to identify issues that I would say that most other people don't even understand how to do that. So thank you for sharing these ideas and concepts with us. So tell us more about what you all do.
So a little bit about what I'll be presenting. My dad's been doing this work for close to, he originally started doing this type of work about 40 years ago, and he's been teaching for close to 30 years. I've been lucky enough to start teaching with him the past 2. Some of the big things, we like to look at some of the underlying conditions of treating chronic patients. When we look at least traditional applied kinesiology, they focus a lot on treating organ relations. And treating organs can be very valuable for people. People get a lot better. But then my dad started to look into, why are the organs dysfunctioning in the first place? There has to be a root cause to that. And then that got him to start looking deeper, and we started to look at infections, at food allergies and food toxins, heavy metal toxicity, chemical toxicity. And our technique has kind of evolved over the years. We check a lot of people for different infections, candida, different things like that, and they can cause a number of different things. We found, besides obviously brain fog, fatigue, GI issues, skin conditions, everything basically that you can mention. Also, a lot of musculoskeletal conditions can be caused by foods and or toxins. And one thing that it's kind of been an evolving technique over the past 30 years is how to find stuff. Since you always hear about different new things out there, new microbe, a new toxin, and then it's our job to find out, okay, how do we find if a person has it? So we always want to check, and if we can't find it, then we either think, well, it's either not there or we're missing it. And that's one of the biggest things that people that do muscle testing, one of their biggest issues is false negatives. We miss so many different things just testing as we do. And over the past 10 years especially, we've just really refined on finding hidden layers and making sure that we're not missing anything. So we keep adding new and new layers to help find. Recently, we've added a couple new ones, and now we're finding way more heavy metals than we ever used to, and then treating that people with some very good results. So that's one thing that we always like to check for, finding new and innovative techniques basically on how to check for these and treat them. Doing these, one thing we do, a lot of our testing is different than normal muscle testing that you've seen before. A lot of people used to do on-the-body testing, and just taking a supplement, putting on the body. And some of the top applied kinesiology docs used to check for it, and they found it wasn't reproducible. If they put things in a brown bag and just random docs tested, it didn't correlate. And that's not something, we want something that's reproducible between doctors. I think that's very important in any type of technique that you can do. And we can get into it more, but we started testing under a magnet after conversations with the medical doctor, William Philpott, one of the leading clinical ecologists. And some of the doctors, Wally Schmidt and other top AK doctors, found that testing under a magnet, we were able to test a lot more substances over the body with reproducible results than ever could before. And that kind of opened up our world into a lot of the different things that we can test for with heavy metals, microbes. Since you can't really put things like mercury in someone's mouth, not so good for the person. So it kind of shows us different ways that we're able to check for a lot of hidden things. We've started checking for different hypercoagulation in some people. That can cause a lot of issues. Biofilms, that's a really big issue that we do. And all the work that we're doing, it's very complementary to quantum neurology. Since you guys really focus on the neurological aspect of everything, we're more a little bit focused on the biochemical and the cellular levels. I think just doing the quantum neurology, fixing a lot of the neurological and the structural, you're going to get a lot of huge improvements on the patient. You're removing total load. You're removing a lot of the stressors on the body, and you remove stressors. People get better a lot of the time. And if you can lower them enough, that's great. And then we focus on a different set of stressors. So just doing one technique or the other, we're both getting a lot of patients better that haven't been helped elsewhere, which is great. And then I think, as any good doctor should do, they should never be happy with where they're at in a sense. They should be very pleased, but they should always look at ways to better their techniques. And combining different techniques that approach healing a person from different aspects. So if one's lowering the total load and then this is lowering the total load, if we combine them together, then we're going to get a lot better results, especially with those chronic patients that we're all seeing more and more of today. When you have your Lyme patients, when you have your chronically toxic mercury patients, other things like that. Combining different techniques together, they don't have to work in competition. They can work together really well. And both of these can work great with chronic illnesses, like I mentioned, for people with Lyme, people with IBS, people with fatigue, all different issues like that, but also for treating athletes. We've worked with a lot of different professional athletes over the years. One of our guys, an NHL player, Sergei Gonchar, he just retired as the second oldest NHL player. My dad started working with him. I think it was either his first or second year in the NHL. He's the leading defensive scorer of all time, I believe, or at least for Russia. And one thing that he credited in keeping him healthy over the years is the nutrition work that we would do with him. In addition to some structural, but doing the nutritional, it would help him recover a lot faster. So you have the whole nutritional aspect and the athletic aspect in there also. So we've been able to help a lot of NHL, MLB players in addition to the chronically ill. So you kind of have two different aspects. And then in addition to this, one of the biggest things that we find is taking people off different foods. And again, false negatives is huge in this. Doing typical muscle testing, how some of you have maybe seen before, checking for different foods, you're going to miss a lot of things. One thing that can cause is a hypertonic reaction. That's basically when you are testing, doing any type of muscle test. A muscle is on and it should be able to turn off. That's how you're physically supposed to work. If you go into a gate position, muscles turn on and muscles turn off. If they didn't, you'd be walking around like the Tin Man. And if you have certain foods, especially that you are sensitive to and you consume them, they can actually cause a fight or flight response, a hypertonic reaction, so the muscle doesn't relax when it should. So in addition to causing a lot of different GI issues, sleep issues, and basically any type of symptom that you can really think of in the body, it also causes a lot of musculoskeletal recidivism. So for some of those patients that you keep fixing, if you fix something and it keeps coming back, this is definitely one thing that you can look at. And we found different ways that people used to talk about wheat back in the day. And in our testing, we didn't find wheat that often. So then gluten was the new thing. We started testing gluten. Gluten really didn't show up either. Then we were able to start checking gliadin, one of the other proteins, and we find on over half of the people out there. So actually checking some of the components of the food help us find a lot of hidden things that were missing before. Same thing with dairy, also caffeine. Those are both big things that we find in a lot of patients, and it decreases injuries in people and also helps them heal from a lot of what's going on. Those are some of the big things that we definitely like to check for. And one of the others is supplements. I always say supplements can be your best friend. They can also be your worst enemy. I know for myself personally in my practice, I have a lot of patients bring a suitcase in of supplements that they're on. They could easily be on 30 or more supplements. And we found some different ways to evaluate are they actually good for you or not? Since a lot of supplements out there have tons of different ingredients, and let's say 3 of them are good, 3 of them are bad, and some are neutral. And also you could have a hypertonic reaction. So it's going to make it really hard in your muscle testing to see which wins out. So you've developed some new ways to evaluate if there's even one bad part of that supplement. We think that we're finding it now versus before. If the good outweighed the bad, it may test well, but the person would react to it. So taking people off a lot of supplements is actually one of the best things we do for a lot of people, and people get a lot better. And then we're able to put them on other supplements, and usually for a short period of time. And then, like you said, so well, that's attacking some of the microbes and other things. If you just increase the neurological function doing QN, then you're actually going to make them recover a lot faster. And doing a lot of the techniques that we do now, we're able to get a lot of chronic people better in weeks. It's not, I have patients that are shocked, and I'm like, oh yeah, we can treat a candida or fungal issue in 2 to 4 weeks. They've never heard that before. They think it's months and months. And as long as we find the root factors, and that's one thing, we want to make sure that they're not being re-exposed to anything. We want to make sure sexual partners, they're not getting re-exposed, animals, houses, all those environments. If we really get to those, then, and treat it correctly, patients respond really fast. And then doing other techniques also that boost the immune system, boost the neurological function, it's even going to speed up that function. So it's not only going to help you get, in a sense, get over the hump of those chronically ill patients that we all eventually get stuck on. It's also going to help us speed up the healing process of our normal patients and of the ones that we see all the time.
No, absolutely amazing. All the things that you said were so important. And, as much as we would each want our respective work to be 100% for every patient out there, it's not. We have patients who have more neurological issues, and of course the quantum neurology work would be more appropriate for those patients. But there's people, like you said, who have really poor biochemical things going on, and biofilms and infections, and there's people with infections that when you test them, they don't even have tests for the infections that they have. And so, what you're bringing to the table is allowing the body to recognize the infection on a level that is not necessary to have the blood work matching, so to say. The body recognizes the issue, and the body starts affecting itself in its own change and healing, instead of a piece of paper said that I have this, and now the piece of paper says I don't have it. So very powerful. And, one of the things that I really want to emphasize to people is the need to be able to look at different areas at a high level. And what I love about what you're talking about is you say, yeah, Candida 2 to 4 weeks, no big deal. And I'm very happy and proud of you for being able to do that. But the subtleties that you mentioned, if you just say that to somebody and they think, hey, I'm not getting 2 to 4 week resolve issues in these cases, it's because you're talking about, the partners and the animals in the home, and all the different subtleties that come with that infection, and the reinfection of the lifestyle, we'll say, that potentially could cause this to get worse. And just like in quantum neurology, when we do the appropriate correction to the specific cause of the issue, we see amazing results quickly. And that's what you're saying with the work that you're doing, which is very exciting. Like I said, I've heard about your family's work for many, many years, and always been excited to meet you and your dad and know a lot more about what you're doing. How do people learn about the work you're doing and about the nutrition products that your family has developed?
Probably the best, more for the physician, place to learn a lot about. If you go to my dad's website, which is Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Leibowitz, LEBOWITZ.com. On his website, he has a free monthly newsletter that goes out to over 2,000 docs for the past almost 30 years now. He has that all available there, and he has a lot of different resources on there, different papers that he's written, and a lot of information about some of the testing vials and the supplements that he's used and or developed over the years. That's usually the best way to find out a little bit more. He also teaches full seminars, so we'll be teaching a lot about some of the things that can help but a full seminar, kind of 8 hours, and he has more info on that, on learning more in depth in the technique if that's something you want to. Also, his contact information is on the website, his email and his phone number. He's very accessible over either of those. And also for myself, if you go to drnoahleibowitz.com, I'm very accessible to get to via email or phone. My website personally, it has a lot of blogs talking about a lot of these subjects, Candida, IBS, some of the things that we treat, Lyme disease all the time. It's a little bit more focused on patient aspects though, versus my dad's website is more focused on for the physician and talks a lot more in depth about what we're going into if you have any questions.
Very exciting. And what would you say is the biggest issue overall that doctors should be looking at that they're not looking at right now on the biochemical infectious disease level? What do you think is out there for everybody?
If I had to say the 3 most important things to treat on any patient, it would be treating microbes. Next would be taking them off foods that they're sensitive to. And the third is a kind of a mix of taking them off all the junk supplements that they're on and putting them on good quality supplements for a short period of time. And that's one cool thing. You have a lot of people patients that might be on supplements for months or if not years, and they continue to do well on them. But my goal is to find out, why are they needing them? If someone's taking something like molybdenum, why are they needed for so many months or years? One thing, a chronic fungal infection will use up your molybdenum levels. So a lot of the times by getting to the root cause, you're able to get rid of a lot of almost the Band-Aids. They're good Band-Aids. The patients do feel a lot better and they're very helpful, but we like to ideally get rid of the root cause so they don't need that type of stuff for long periods of time. But I'd say infections, foods, and correct supplementation are the 3 biggest things that I see every day.
Excellent, excellent. And Noah, you just moved recently to Washington. So why don't you tell people how to get a hold of you if somebody's interested in being treated by you? How does that happen?
Yes. So I just moved from Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm living in Gig Harbor, Washington. My practice is in Tacoma, Washington. It's about 45 minutes south of Seattle. If you go to my website, which again was drnoahleibowitz, LEBOWITZ.com, all my information is on there, or my phone number is 253-302-3131. Or if you just Google my name, all my information comes up. I'm very easy to find. Like I said, my practice is in Tacoma, Washington.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Noah. To see Noah live at our homecoming event, November 11th and 12th, as well as several other wonderful speakers, including myself. We're going to have a great time. We're going to be sharing the most advanced concepts within quantum neurology, and Dr. Noah Leibowitz is going to be sharing his principles of the Leibowitz protocols. And we have Dr. Bob Hoffman also speaking, as well as Dr. Dave Pascal, who just recently came back from the Summer Games and had a tremendous success out there. We have a full lineup of amazing speakers, and I invite you to come out and bring your friends to this event on November 11th and 12th in Los Angeles. To find out more information, please visit our website, quantumneurology.com, or you could send a message to info@quantumneurology.com. Thank you so much, Noah, for being here today and sharing your wisdom with us, and we really look forward to seeing you at the event.
Thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to be there.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody.